Very quickly, the tail of the tape now for Crawford and Klimov. Terence Crawford from Omaha, Nebraska, has a 5-year age advantage. He's 26 to 31 years old from Andrey. Klimov, who is from a tiny town outside of Moscow. And you see the height advantage of 1.5 inches for Klimov, but interestingly, arm length advantage of 1.5 inches for the shorter fighter Crawford. Measured from the armpit to the end of the fist. They both weighed 1.5 pounds under the 135-pound limit. And tonight, Crawford has rehydrated all the way up to 149 and apparently will have a functional 9-pound weight advantage coming to the ring against Klimov. And here is Andrey Klimov. He comes from a Russian town named Klimovsk. And the first thing you think is Klimov from Klimovsk. Maybe the town is named for his family, but no, just a coincidence. He had a long career as an amateur fighter in Russia, and then ultimately about 4 years ago decided to come to the United States, where he's been forging his professional career and has gotten a couple of unexpected wins to bring himself to this point. However, keep in mind as the action unfolds tonight that Klimov has been cut over the left eyebrow in each of his last 2 fights. So that's something that could develop favorably for Crawford if he knows it, and we expect that he does, and if he's able to target that left eye during the course of the fight. Meanwhile, the real spotlight here is on his opponent, Terence Crawford. Crawford is fast gaining recognition as a rising star in the 135-pound division. As a young man searching to find himself in the streets of Omaha, Nebraska, his future came into focus through the events that took place on Labor Day in 2008.
Man, that day was just a messed up day from the jump. You know, I got into it with my mom, we was arguing, hanging out with some friends, got threw out the September Fest, got maced in the eye. You know, I should have went home right after that, but knowing me, I just thought I'd go out, make some money, shooting dice, about to leave in my car. Next thing you know, boom, that happened so fast, you know. I got hit with the first shot in the back of my head. Well, the doctor said that, you know, the window had slowed it down, and instead of the bullet going straight, it made it spin, you know, and when it hit me, it just hit me and bounced out. That was just a wake-up call. I talked to my family, and everybody was just like, you blessed. You need to change your life. So I just took heed in what they was all telling me, and I was just like, all right, well, now it's time for me to grow up and, you know, change. Then when my girl got pregnant, that was a whole nother turning point. To me, being a father is the greatest thing that could have happened to me, because I wouldn't want my kids to grow up like I grew up. It's a blessing that I can either be here supporting them like I am today.
So what brought him to this plateau? Well, earlier this year, Crawford was biding his time in the top-ranked stable. He had had a very good, not great amateur career, but as you saw, had some prominent wins as an amateur over Danny Garcia and Mikey Garcia. And he was scheduled to fight in an undercard bout on the second Alvarado Rios card, March 30 in Las Vegas. And then a week before the fight, a fighter named Habib Alakberdiev suffered an injury which knocked him out of an anticipated fight on that card with Bradis Prescott, and Crawford moved up and took over Alakberdiev's spot in that fight. It was a raise from $10,000 to $125,000. Prescott became the favorite in the fight, but Crawford outworked him, out-techniqued him, beat him easily. A couple months later, he got another win, knocking out a strong Mexican fighter named Gabriel Sanabria on the undercard of the Mikey Garcia show in Dallas, and now, suddenly, he is seen as a threat to become maybe the best 135-pound fighter in the United States, and Max, you say, maybe the best 135-pound fighter in the world.
His lightweight resume is thin, I understand, and the Prescott win took place at 140 pounds. But after that Prescott fight, I was left with a distinct impression that he was clearly better than the other 135-pounders, especially once Bronner left the division, moving up. I don't see anyone else at 135 pounds with his combination of skill, his raw talent that he hones with his skill, and he has a mean streak in him, Roy, for a guy who is really a guy who sits in the pocket and boxes. He's got that kind of mean streak that Pernell Whitaker had.
All the great fighters need that.
Indeed, we'll hear more about what Roy thinks of Crawford as the action develops. Let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez to start it off.
Ladies and gentlemen, live around the world from the beautiful Amway Center here in Orlando, Florida. This is the co-main event of the evening, Russia versus the USA. 10 rounds scheduled for the NABO Lightweight Championship. Presented by Cotto Promotions in association with Bob Arum's Top Rank Promotions and Joe DeGuardia Star Boxing with our sponsor, Tecate Cerveza con Carácter. This bout is sanctioned by the NABO Supervisor in Attendance, Joe Hernandez. The 3 judges scoring this bout at ringside on the 10-point must system, Fred Floating, Michael Pernick, and Peter Trematera. And with the bell rings, your referee in charge of the action, Sam Burgos. And now here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Undefeated versus undefeated for the lightweight title. And introducing first, fighting out of the blue corner. Wearing tonight black, trimmed in silver. He weighed in officially 134 1/2 pounds. As a professional, he is perfect in the ring. 16 bouts, 16 victories, no defeats with 8 wins coming by way of knockout from Klimov, Russia. Here is the undefeated national Russian lightweight champion, Andrey Klimov. And next his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner. Wearing the colors of the USA, red, white, and blue. He weighed in also 134 1/2 pounds and is also perfect inside the ring. 21 victories, no defeats, 16 big wins coming by way of knockout from Omaha, Nebraska, USA. The reigning, defending, undefeated NABO lightweight champion, Terence Crawford.
If you start, or are we starting?
2 seconds.
All right. She's second. Come on in. She's second. Coach. Let's go, gentlemen. Bring him in. Coach. Gentlemen, we get the instructions in the back. Obey my command and protect yourself at all times. You have any question? Any question? Fair punches? Fair punches. Touch him up. Come out of the bell.
Klimov's trainer likens fighting Klimov to trying to dance with a woman who's got no rhythm. It's hard to do. Hard to fight Klimov because of his rhythm. Terence Crawford is at the stage now where it's not enough just to win. He's looking to impress. Maybe a tough guy to look impressive against.
And the bell rings to begin round 1. Klimov has the kind of expressionless face and a general demeanor that basically says no big deal about everything. And as far as the absence of rhythm that Shadid Saluki, his American trainer, described, let's see if Crawford steps on his feet.
I don't think Crawford will be stepping on his feet. However, they said Klimov is a pretty good puncher. I'd like to see if that's the case or not.
Klimov beat a pretty good puncher named John Molina earlier this summer to set himself up for an opportunity like this.
Yeah, I don't think Klimov is much of a puncher. He's okay. He's not the lightest hitting guy in the world, but plenty hit harder.
No, what Saluki described as a guy who's sneaky with his power. He will get in punches from odd angles and at moments when you don't expect them. But Terence Crawford seemed to knock him off balance there with an overhand right.
Well, Terence Crawford ain't sneaky at all with his power. Terence Crawford has real power in both hands. And not only that, he can also turn southpaw and be just as effective as he is right-handed.
He's the best switch hitter since Yankee center fielder Bernie Williams was in his prime. I mean, he can switch up southpaw like he's a southpaw.
Mikey Garcia, like Brandon Rios and a lot of other top fighters, is managed by the extremely capable Cameron Duncan, one of the top 2 or 3 managers in the sport of boxing. Duncan was at one point talking to Mikey Garcia about expanding his roster of fighters and said, who is it that I don't know about whom I ought to be looking to sign? Mikey Garcia said, you need to sign Terence Crawford. If you haven't seen him, trust me, this guy is real quality. So it's Mikey Garcia, who was, by the way, an 18-7 amateur victim of Crawford several years ago, who launched him essentially into his professional career, gave him the access to top rank through Cameron Duncan that brought him to this place. Good body shots by Crawford there.
Yeah, Klimov doesn't seem to have the hand speed to really compete with Crawford yet.
Crawford does the hardest thing to do in boxing, which is stand in the pocket with a good defense, not get hit, in punching range, land your own punches with force.
And throwing some beautiful combinations right now.
One of Crawford's great ambitions is to become prominent enough and successful enough that we, in our HBO crew, will get a chance to see Omaha, a city to which we have never been. He may be a few dates away from that. And of course, victory tonight is essential. When you hear that whistle, that means there are 10 seconds remaining in the round. They're using a whistle instead of the customary clapper here to denote 10 seconds remaining in the round.
Victory is
There's
essential.
the Crawford family, a boisterous group, as you can see. They're here to have fun.
Victory is essential, and after that first round looks inevitable unless Klimov can really change the fight.
You gotta start doubling up that jab, all right? Because he's slipping that first one, all right? You're catching him with that right hand, but like we talked about, you gotta come back with something. Okay, nice body work.
Don't stay in the middle. Mouthpiece.
Copy box numbers in round 1. Crawford was 16 out of 48. Klimov landed 7 of 36. None with very much effect. It seemed to be an all Crawford round. You saw the graphic indicating that Crawford's trainer is Esau Dieguez. That was not the man who was sitting in front of him and talking to him between rounds. That was another member of his team, Brian McIntyre. They alternate talking to the fighter throughout the fight. We are in Orlando, Florida, where as soon as this boxing match is over, you'll get a chance to see the return of Miguel Cotto, coming off of a 2-loss streak and hoping to revitalize his career in search of other big dates, perhaps pay-per-view dates, before it all comes to a close in what has been one of the greatest of recent careers in the sport.
Terence Crawford is using his jab very, very good here early in this fight. I think his power has made Klimov realize that he can't just walk in on him like he wants to.
In our fighter meeting yesterday, Klimov was dismissive of Crawford's skills and power. His only comment really was, there are lots of fighters in Russia who are as fast as Terence Crawford. If so, perhaps he didn't fight them as a professional.
You hear the boos. This is that awkward dance partner. Crawford trying to get a rhythm. At one point, they were about to start booing, and he quieted them by flicking out some jabs. Crawford did. But Klimov is doing enough movement to stop Crawford from punching, to disrupt Crawford's offensive rhythm.
Well, one of the reasons they may be booing is that they've been spoiled a little bit already tonight, while you at home were watching the replay of Vladimir Klitschko and Alexander Povetkin. The live crowd here was watching a truly sensational 10-round passion play between Jason Filez and Dat Gwynn, which was, you know, good enough to be a candidate for undercard unseen fight of the year. It was terrific.
And don't take Dat Gwynn like it sounds. Dat Gwynn was one hell of a Gwynn.
He was terrific. Vietnamese descent fighter who simply wouldn't give up. against Jason Velez, who was more skilled but was really put to the test, knocked down by Gwynn at one point. Crowd loved it.
Klimov landed his first good right hand this round to the head about 20 seconds ago.
It was a solid punch.
And that's probably because Terence has turned southpaw, and that's the best punch against the southpaw.
Yeah, the crowd who's booing, you're right, Jim. They should be told, look, at least you didn't have to sit through Klitschko Povetkin twice.
Crawford switches southpaw very fluidly. Does it pretty frequently. I don't think in this instance it was because his beard was rattled, but one thing that I've been told by top-ranked people is that if he gets at all hurt or bothered during the fight, he might switch southpaw. And next Saturday night, it'll be HBO pay-per-view, bringing you the showdown between Jim Bradley and Juan Manuel Marquez. 1 week later, Mike Alvarado and Ruslan Provodnikov face off in a can't-miss action fight. It's already been a whale of a year for action fights. Very entertaining fights in boxing. Here's Provodnikov, who is here to continue building his name and gathering a fan base as he gets ready to go to Denver on October 19 to fight Mike Alvarado on his home turf. And if that fight is anywhere near as exciting as Provodnikov against Bradley earlier this year, you should be paying to watch it.
Or Alvarado Rios.
Okay, absolutely right. Two of the most entertaining fighters in boxing in that one. And Bradley Marquez promises to be spirited as well. CompuBox numbers in the second round. Klimov 11 of 46, or check it. Crawford 11 of 46. Klimov 2 of 18. Our unofficial ringside scorer tonight is the estimable Harold Letterman. Harold, how do you have the first two rounds?
Okay, Jim, I got a 2-0 in favor of Terence Crawford. He seems to be doing more work. Klimov is just not punching enough to win the round. I mean, it's been a jabbing contest in the middle of the round. Fight never went up on the ropes one time in 2 rounds. So Terence Crawford, now that he's gone southpaw, out jabbing him with the right jab, landing nice straight left hands. 2-0, Terence Crawford.
It's 11 o'clock here in Orlando. The crowd is very eager to see Miguel Cotto. For most of them, that's probably why they bought the tickets. It is a large crowd. It looks like a nearly full house. The promotion has turned out to be a big success. They don't want to go through tedious, actionless rounds of this fight waiting to get to the main event. So that's why they are making the noises they're making right now.
Terence Crawford likes to do things perfectly, I get that. And Klimov is doing things to disrupt him, but Roy, I'm not saying he should react to the crowd's booing, but how about imposing himself a little bit more on this Klimov guy who's not a huge puncher?
Yeah, he's not a huge puncher, but like right there, you saw he got caught with the right hand. He has to be careful even when he exposes himself because Klimov is not a bad boxer.
But I'll tell you what I saw happen just then is, yeah, he got caught twice maybe, but he landed 6 or 7 good shots.
And he did that, and maybe that's what you want to see more of.
Crawford seems to have decided to go full-time, at least for the moment, with the southpaw stance. Why would that be, Roy?
Well, I think he feels like he can get to Klimov better that way, and Klimov will throw more punches or stay closer because he feels as though he can hit Crawford better at the left-handed position than he can with Crawford as a right-hander.
His best punch is the straight right hand. Crawford's giving him the opportunity to throw it.
So that he'll fight him. You can't fight him if he doesn't fight you back.
If you're faced with a world-class guy in front of you who's basically trying to stink you out, and you can responsibly not let him do it, I think that says something, and here maybe Crawford's starting to do that in the third round.
Klimov lands a jab. Kind of a bouncy mover, as you see. None of that motion seems to be setting up anything.
No, like the guy said, he's a herky-jerky type fighter. He just jumps around, makes moves for no reason, comes at you when you least expect it, and that's probably one of his strong points. But it's not really working for him tonight because Crawford's keeping that jab in his face.
Again, the whistle signals 10 seconds remaining in the round. It was a good body punch there by Crawford. And another one as the round comes to a close. Still to come tonight, Miguel Cotto against Delvin Rodriguez. There's a live look at Cotto in the dressing room, where for the first time in his career, he is accompanied by brand new trainer, Freddie Roach. That's Roach's Filipino assistant, Marvin Sansona, standing next to Cotto and flashing the huge grin. They must be watching the Crawford-Klimov fight on a monitor. Cotto looking very relaxed. Interestingly, we did not see him at ringside tonight.
Don't hurt you, okay? Can he hurt you? Well, walk this motherfucker down then, man, all right? All right, let's go. Let's go. Let's get to work.
I believe Brian McIntyre just asked Terence Crawford to walk the man down.
I don't know if he called him the man, but he did tell him to walk somebody down.
He MS'd him, that's for sure. And I'm with McIntyre 100%. He said, has he hurt you? No? Then walk this MFer down. Exactly right.
CompuBox numbers in 3. Crawford 18 out of 58, all out of the southpaw stance, and he remains in it right now. Klimov was only 3 of 28. Crawford now with an overall 45-12 connect advantage coming into this 4th round.
If you have an awkward fighter with crazy punching power, I get it. But if that's not the case, beat him up.
And he's way bigger than this guy physically, so that's one thing that the Russians probably have to get used to as far as professional boxing goes. Most of the guys that fight 135 come down from far above 150.
You see the problem hitting Klimov. He looks like he gives you a target, and finally Crawford puts a little mustard on 2 shots, and Klimov's not there.
Klimov trying to get his jab going a little bit. Good hook by
Good right hook by Terence Crawford. Knocked Klimov back up into the ropes and seemed to embolden Crawford a little bit as he comes forward and looks to land another big shot.
And look how hard it is to move around the ring on Crawford because he can switch up. It looks like Marvin Hagler switching up from lefty to righty.
Or Andrey Ward.
Yeah, he always has the angle. And it's hard not to think of him as a southpaw, but technically, I guess he's not a southpaw.
That's the shot right there. If he keeps that jab up, he can possibly set something good up off it, but he got to keep jabbing just to keep him busy. Like that.
It's an extremely one-sided fight so far in terms of CompuBox numbers.
Crawford is fast, but he's not the most blazing fast fighter you've ever seen. He has solid punching power, but he's not a crazy knockout artist.
10 seconds. Stop at the bell.
He needs to apply his craft, and Klimov is trying not to let him do it, but here he's following his corner's advice and just simply putting in more work.
One of the ongoing time-honored questions in boxing, who will be the next big star from the island of Puerto Rico? Particularly now with Miguel Cotto's career cruising toward its conclusion, that question is active. Maybe it'll be Felix Verdejo. Felix Verdejo is a lightweight who was showcased on the undercard tonight. He oozes class. He was fighting an outclassed opponent named Gary Iyer. As you see here, he had bloodied Iyer's nose early in the 2nd round, and then he went after it. See the speed, you see the power. Referee Santos Telemedios had seen enough of the blood. And Felix Verdejo scored yet another technical knockout win. 253 of round 2, remains unbeaten, continues on a path which could ultimately yield an identity as the next Puerto Rican superstar in the sport. Power punches through 4. Crawford 44 out of 96. Klimov 6 of 37. So unfortunately, despite the unbeaten record, it does not appear, at least to this moment, that Andrey Klimov can put up a credible challenge against Terence Crawford as Crawford tries to build his credentials toward a title shot in the 135-pound weight class.
This is what's curious about the matchup. Going in, hard to imagine Klimov winning. Also hard to imagine looking sensational against Klimov, although he's looking better and better here. I caught with the right hook there, the left hook there. I suppose one of the attractive qualities as an opponent is Klimov's not an enormous puncher. And so if the idea is that Crawford gets a title shot after this, Klimov's unlikely to upset the apple cart.
Good double left hand by Crawford. It's fights like these when you really find out, too, what guys have and how creative they can become. Just like you saw him throw that double left hand right there. That was something that they don't practice on often in the gym, but you have to be creative and spontaneously come up with new combinations to land on a guy who's strictly defensive like Klimov is.
Do you see enough improvisational ability in Crawford?
Yes, I do. I love what I'm seeing. As I said, I was impressed by that double left hand. I never seen him do it before, but it was a perfect punch, a perfect call, and he landed it.
Trouble, of course, with a matchup like this is if, in fact, Crawford does get a title shot off of this win, if, in fact, it becomes a win, many fans out there will say, well, why did he deserve a title shot? That was a mismatch. But again, Klimov came in with an unbeaten record, 8 knockouts, beat John Molina in his last fight, and Molina is a guy who was credible enough to, for instance, be matched against Antonio DeMarco when DeMarco was the champion of the 135-pound weight class.
Well, I think in the way you phrase it, many fans would be right. So the question is why, and the answer is because Top Rank and HBO are behind Crawford, and the reason that's the case is because it's fairly obvious that he's at least as talented as anyone in the division and has real potential.
And with Adrian Broner having moved up from 135 all the way to 147 earlier this year, for the moment, it does not look like an extremely talent-rich weight class.
Right. He's practically the only interesting fighter in it.
And the crowd expresses their displeasure. November 16, it's the HBO premiere of Mike Tyson's one-man show, Tyson, Undisputed Truth. Following Tyson, stick around for World Championship Boxing, featuring Andre Ward taking on unbeaten Edwin Rodriguez.
Go get him. You're not doing nothing. Go get him. Pava, Leva, Vista. You're losing this fight.
Klimov won't even look at Shahid Saluki as he talks to him. And you heard Saluki, go get him. You're not doing anything. You're losing this fight. An accurate appraisal.
And his facial expression said, so?
Klimov got this fight. He did earn it with a win over Molina. It wasn't a dominant performance. It wasn't the prettiest win, but it was a quality win over a world-class fighter.
So, Harold, how's he doing here so far?
Not too good. I've got it 5-0, 50-45. Terence Crawford. Terence is just piling up the points with that right jab, the occasional straight left hand. Once in a while, he doubles the right jab for us. He's landed all the punches. Klimov looks at him, he feints, he feints, he feints. He doesn't punch. I mean, Klimov has got to stop punching if he expects to win this fight. Terence Crawford just out-jabbing him, out-working him, out-punching him. 5-0, Terence Crawford.
So, Harold, you agree with the trainer. He isn't doing anything.
Absolutely.
Crawford fighting most of the night out of the southpaw stance. Ripping Klimov with jabs, right hooks, the occasional straight left hand. I don't think either corner is tremendously pleased with what their fighter's doing so far, but they're a little bit happier over in Crawford's corner. They might still like to see something more aggressive than what he's produced.
Sure, and Crawford might say, look, it's not as easy as it looks. Fans want to see me really beat the guy up, but he's here for a reason, and he's negating some of the stuff I'm doing. But fans don't want to see you do something easy. Give people a reason to watch. I think Crawford does, and he has so far tonight.
Oh, he's trying.
But I feel like he can give a little bit more.
But your point is quite well taken, Max. Just because the other guy seems to be feather-fisted and you can take his punch, doesn't mean you want to get hit. Doesn't mean you want to be careless about defending. Crawford is fighting a responsible fight.
A responsible fight, but something less than an inspiring fight. Which you see Klimov moving every which way, makes it difficult to know when and how exactly to attack him, but when Crawford simply attacks him, he has success.
Crawford has thrown nothing but a jab for about 45 seconds now. He's thrown a bunch of them. And Klimov's movement is discouraging Crawford from throwing more power punches.
Yeah, because you can't tell when Klimov is going to counter and when he's not. And that's what Crawford is being careful and cautious of.
A slip, not a knockdown. 10 seconds to go in the round. Fight is scheduled for 10 rounds, not 12. Crowd won't have to wait that much longer for the excitement of Miguel Cotto versus Delvin Rodriguez. Now that man sitting in front of Crawford is his trainer, Esau Dieguez.
What do some of the things that we've been working on?
Round 7 of the schedule 10.
Much more aggressive with the southpaw jab there as Crawford this round.
It looked like he's really trying to get in this round.
Well, maybe Esau Dieguez said something different to him than what Brian McIntyre's been saying. That will get him to be more aggressive and take a little bit more risk, because you just have the impression that if he'll take a little more risk, he can begin to hurt Klimov.
Yeah, and the risk is you're going to get countered, and he's been countered a little bit more in this round, but he's also landed much more heavy artillery.
Nobody really wants to be countered, but sometimes it's the price you pay to make the point you want to make and be an entertaining fighter.
If Klimov was a devastating puncher, I would understand more tentative boxing. He's not. Not saying he can't hurt you, but Crawford's tasted his power in this fight.
Good shot. Good body shot by Crawford.
That's the way to do it. Those body shots could set up something a lot more interesting.
Sometimes it's hard, I think, also for a fighter who likes to be perfect to accept being less than perfect in order to get the job done a little quicker. But look at the results.
You fantasize the possibility that Klimov's corner will do us all a favor and shorten the enterprise.
Or better yet, that Crawford does, and we have something to get excited about. You know,
that's
all
more
this
likely.
said, he fought Sanabria last time on our air, and I was a little critical of him for being a little lax defensively. So what's the expression? You can't win for losing, lose for winning. Never quite understood it, but I think it applies here.
Klimov has 2 Russian-American managers, both of them named Alex. Both have ambitions for him. Both are here tonight, and because of that, Shadid Saluki is unlikely to throw in a towel or wave it off. Probably going to allow his unbeaten fighter to go all the way through, taking, say, 30 punches per round while landing maybe 7, which is going to be the ultimate number at the end of this round. Good left hook by Klimov, and Crawford goes after him for that.
Yeah, Klimov's a bit hurt from a right hand high on the head, it looks like.
A good body shot.
Still to come tonight, Miguel Cotto and Delvin Rodriguez, and Miguel continues to take in the undercard bout. I was about to say earlier, I don't think he came to ringside and talked to fans and signed autographs tonight, as has always been his custom throughout his career. One of those fighters like Muhammad Ali who enjoys communing with fans, and maybe he did, and we just didn't happen to see it at the time when it took place, but it would be a small change for Cotto.
I saw him on the far side of the ring, sitting and watching. I didn't see him interacting with fans, but I did see him ringside, Jim.
Here's Delvin Rodriguez warming up in his dressing room. So Delvin's breaking a sweat and getting himself ready, doing the pad work in the dressing room to prepare. And there's downtown Orlando. City of Magic. Punches in the 7th. What did I say? 30-7? It was 29-6. Crawford landing 29 out of 77. Klimov 6 of 21.
Way off as usual, Jim.
That's the high number of connects for Crawford. 17 of them were what we like to call power shots, or what CompuBox likes to call power shots, which is anything other than a jab.
What would be impressive is following up that dominance in the 7th round. Crawford stopped him here in the 8th. He had him hurt to the head. He landed some very good body shots. He got much more aggressive. Let's see him close the show.
Klimov gets in a body shot. Left hook upstairs is blocked. Another left hook upstairs is blocked. Another left upstairs. This time a jab is blocked. Crawford switches back to southpaw. Crowd is tired of booing. They'll just wait it out.
Oh.
Flip, but got caught with a left hook at the same time.
Yep.
Crawford normally proud of his perfect aesthetic technique. That time looked way off balance.
I think they had a collision of feet. Good hook by Klimov.
Very good. Generally, Crawford's more aggressive as a right-handed fighter than a southpaw, but here it seems he turned southpaw to get aggressive.
That too, but I think also the southpaw style has taken away Klimov's right hand. So Klimov is not punching nearly as much as he probably would want to because he doesn't see anything. Oh, good body shot by Crawford again.
10 seconds.
Well, you have to hope that body shot was worth the price of admission for the round. Not much else was going on.
He may be a little bit cranky after that Klitschko-Povetkin fight.
October 19th, join us for the 140-pound collision between Mike Alvarado and Ruslan Provodnikov. Following that night's live boxing, it's the premiere of an all-new legendary night the tale of Gaddy Ward. It's an amazing show. It's a love story. Don't miss it.
Tell me exactly what he did. Okay, then act like it. Tell him I said he's acting like a fucking coward. He's not doing anything to you. You allowing him to do these things. You got to be more aggressive. You got to go get him.
I believe the trainer, Shadid Saluki, just told manager Alex to tell Klimov that he was behaving like an effing coward. And if that doesn't insult the fighter, who knows what will. Harold, how do you have it through?
Okay, Jim, I got an 80-72, 8 rounds to nothing, Terence Crawford. You know, Jim, I've noticed a couple of things in this fight, a few interesting things. Number one, southpaws usually pull with the right jab. Terence Crawford's got nice snap to the right jab. You know, you see that? He snaps it out. He really does. He doesn't pull with it. He throws a nice right jab, considering that, you know, he's a turned-around right-handed fighter. Nice right hook. He's got good power. Second thing, these Russian fighters are usually straight-up guys. Klimov spends his whole life bobbing and weaving, bobbing and weaving. He moves his head beautifully. Of course, he doesn't land any punches, so moving your head don't mean a thing. 8-0, Terence Crawford.
Harold, that was brilliant. You almost made this fight entertaining for me for about 15 seconds. Good body shot by Crawford there, and referee Sam Burgos, who hasn't been a part of the action at all, inserts himself to say, keep it up.
Well, Burgos has done a good job. There's no real, even though there hasn't been sustained action all the rounds, there hasn't been a lot of clinching or running. They're staying within punching distance, but Klimov's doing his best for most of the fight to stop Crawford from punching with his head movement, and the first couple rounds Crawford did a little too much to oblige him.
Burgos has been very helpful. He hasn't done a single thing which would lengthen the arc of this enterprise beyond the 10 times 3 minutes with a minute in between that we want.
Exactly.
This needs to be 40 minutes and not a second more. Because Miguel Cotto is waiting, even looking as relaxed as he is. Crawford toying with Klimov with the jab.
He's won every round from a guy who's coming off a win against John Molina, as I mentioned. Punished him a little bit.
And by the way, let me correct myself. 39 minutes, not 40, because there isn't another minute after the end of the 10. Pop, pop. 2 straight left hands by Terence Crawford. The whistle means there are 10 seconds to go in the round.
Step on.
See what Shadid Saluki can come up with this time.
Either you go get knocked out or you knock him out in order to win. Go out fighting. Don't go out like a coward. Tell me exactly what I said.
It's a shutout. Hey, so let's pick up where you left off at, all right? You're doing real good, man. Don't get careless. He's gonna kind of come out there and
Last round, he's gonna try to come to you.
Exactly.
Just give you a hands up. That's all.
Deep breath, deep breath,
Right?
deep breath.
I know you're trying to come to. Don't forget your hands up. He's trying to time. Good job. Take it down.
An unfortunately one-sided matchup through 9 rounds. It's done nothing to inspire our viewing audience or the crowd here.
They're cheering the fact that it's the final round.
Exactly right. Biggest cheer of the night, beginning of the 10th round. CompuBox numbers 170 out of 535 for Crawford, 45 out of 252 for Klimov. That's a wipeout.
Shadid Saluki did better himself in that round.
Shadid Saluki was the most entertaining thing in the fight.
And he's exactly right. Either get knocked out or knock him out. It's the only chance here is to sell out and go for a knockout. And so what? You get knocked out. At least you have a chance to win. In the promotion for Tim Bradley and Juan Manuel Marquez, you hear Bradley say he's always going to remember the night he fought Tim Bradley. Leave something of yourself in the ring. Make an impression on your opponent, on the people watching.
After all, you don't want to go home to Klimovsk, the town which sounds as though it's named for your family but isn't. You don't want to go home to Klimovsk and have people walk up to you on the street and say, what was that? You didn't even bother Terence Crawford. You didn't impose yourself on him in any way.
You didn't leave an impression. You didn't make your mark, win or lose.
You got insulted by television announcers.
Well, yeah, you see, he can handle himself. He can bother plenty of lightweights. Terence Crawford's just not one of them.
I should probably be kinder to him on that basis.
Said we're cranky after our first fight of the night.
What? You mean we didn't get to see Terence put his arms over the top of Klimov and hold him down?
Yeah, I'm surprised actually we are this cranky. After Klitschko and Pietka, this is like Corrales and Castillo.
Very much.
This is Gaddy Ward, Jim. This could be on legendary nights after that first fight.
It didn't have the 4 entertaining knockdowns. It didn't have any entertaining knockdowns, at least so far.
Watch your legs. Watch your legs. Watch your legs.
He did put out more effort in this 10th round than had been the case up to this point, talking about Klimov.
Yeah, but he would have needed this effort from round 1. Because he didn't do it from round 1, it's almost useless for him now. Crawford is too strong. Crawford is in too much of a rhythm. The jab is going to bother him every time he tries to open up.
It's so hard to break habits, too. This is Klimov selling out. This is him trying to go for broke. Because he's not accustomed to doing it, he can't muster the right kind of effort.
His personality doesn't say that. In the fight with me yesterday, it seemed like everything we said, all he said was so.
Right.
Oh, that body shot hurt, though. Oh.
The last right hand Crawford landed was the best in the whole fight.
Yep, and that body shot was, too.
And so Crawford goes over to trade pleasantries with Shadid Saluki and the others in Klimov's corner.
And it should be said that he's reached the level where expectations are such that you can take a guy who can handle himself on the world-class level, win every round by a wide margin, and I don't know if disappoint is too strong a word, but not excite.
And leave the crowd and the television announcers nonplussed.
Nonplussed is the right word.
But Crawford moves to 22-0, or at least we assume so. You know, if I can take the leap of faith with official scorers to say that this fight is going to be scored in Crawford's favor.
Smartest thing Crawford did here was go ahead and get the win because he hopes that he gets a title shot next. He was not going to take a stupid chance of giving Klimov something or getting a cut or anything else because he knows that it's very possible he has a title fight coming up next. Not what we want to see, but that's what the business is.
Here's Harold Letterman's unofficial scorecard. Eventful as you can see that it is. A clean sweep. Or in the popular phrase of the moment, a clean CR. And now let's go to ring announcer Joe Martinez, who's standing by with the scores.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 10 rounds of boxing, we go to the scorecards. All three judges score it 100-90 for your winner by unanimous decision and still undefeated from Omaha, Nebraska, Terence Crawford.
Well, so you heard it. All three official scores agreeing with Harold Letterman at the magic number of 100-90. In stark reality, it shows you exactly how entertaining a fight it was. Crawford lands 135 more punches. That's perfect. They were fighting in the 135-pound weight class, so he landed one extra punch for every pound in the weight class. He throws 239 and lands 104 power punches, 76 more than Klimov. Doubles or more than doubles Klimov's connect percentage for power punches, etc., etc., etc.